And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Monday afternoon, November 10th, and temperatures outside in the 20s. It's a chilly one, but nothing too bad. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And Bridgette, on this date 3 years ago, let's see how good your memory is. What happened on this date 3 years ago?
I know.
We had snow.
You don't count.
And lots of it.
Yeah, we did.
What do you mean I don't count?
You don't count.
Why does Bridgette count and I don't?
Because we were talking about this earlier, and I
don't
know
listen
you
to
overheard.
things you talk- When did we talk about it?
No, I was talking with to Austin about it.
I don't listen to the shows I produce.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we had blizzard warnings and winter storm warnings blanketed across the state back in 2022 on this date. So things could definitely be a lot worse. So we are in a little bit of a cold snap out there. We started this on Friday, and we're looking at the cold weather continuing this afternoon with quite a bit of cloud cover. We're really not going to break into any sunshine. We might see a peak or two here and there, but other than that, a cloudy day with temperatures only making it up into the mid-30s today with those winds a little on the breezy side out of the south, about 10 to 25. Tonight, we'll start to clear things out. We'll drop down to a low in the upper 20s. And tomorrow, we're going to see a little more sunshine for Veterans Day. Northwest winds about 10 to 25 and highs in the upper 40s. We'll stay in the upper 40s Wednesday, warm up into the low 50s on Thursday. And it looks like by Friday, we could have temperatures approaching 60 degrees in our area on Friday. That's crazy. And then we'll cool things off into the 30s and 40s as we head into the upcoming weekend. Still no signs of any big storms. We're starting to see signs of a pattern change after mid-month. We've been talking about this for a little over a week now. A lot of different scenarios on how that's going to unfold, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But looks like the above normal temperatures are going to start to come to an end as we head after this upcoming weekend. So another week with above normal temperatures, and then we'll start to see signs of a pattern change. So we'll see how that unfolds. But again, no signs yet of any big snows around the area. And this weather this morning, it's the afternoon. Good night. It's been brought to you by Progressive Ag Risk Management.
Well, it's been a busy weekend, and some of those things probably are, if you are a little worn out, maybe you were attending the FFA Foundation Gala on Saturday night. Big thanks to all those who attended that event. It was a wonderful fundraiser for the foundation and raised over $100,000 for students that will be used over the next calendar year. We had a hypnotist. I was fortunate enough to be the MC, and then volunteered to be part of the hypnotist comedian show.
Interesting.
He told me I'd wake up really rested. I don't see it yet. Maybe it'll happen in a few days, but so far, nothing big.
Did you get put under?
See how it goes.
Did they hypnotize you?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Me and 11 other people.
Do you have it on tape? Did they video
Some
it?
of it, yes.
Okay. Anything?
Some of it, yes.
Anything that made you laugh out of the ordinary?
He told me, and I remember a lot of it, but he told me I wouldn't be able to say my name whenever he shook my hand. And I didn't. I could not tell him my name. I had no idea.
Really?
Just wouldn't come out. Nope.
That's amazing.
No idea.
Wow.
So, yes. Hopefully nothing like that happens when I'm off to speak to the Fargo Kiwanis Club tomorrow.
Yeah.
I would prefer not to be worried about hypnotism right there during the Kiwanis Club, but we'll see what they bring. Wanted to say thank you to Grateful Cratefuls. They were very kind in putting together a gift package for me last week that came from folks at the station following the WDAY radio farm show. So again, Grateful Cratefuls. If you are looking to put together an item, a gift for someone, I've used them for anniversaries and so forth. They make an outstanding product, so do not be shy about using them. If you've got questions as we talk about more and more things today, you can reach us on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. We are live streaming on Acres TV, Facebook, and YouTube under Weather and Ag in Focus. And emails are coming to us to our inboxes, powered by Superior Grain Equipment, because you can protect your farm's future with Superior Grain storage, drying, and handling. And frankly, keep their number handy. The amount of dryer fires we have had this year, you might have to keep a spare, or at least keep some parts just in case. And again, that's Superior Grain Equipment, powering our email of weather-or-ag@flagfamily.com. Speaking of email, some of you may get an electronic form of Farmer's Almanac, except one of them is going to be going out of business because not all of us are out of print anyway. Not all of us realized there were actually two Farmer's Almanacs. One was published in New Hampshire. That one will remain. That's called the Old Farmer's Almanac. The newer Farmer's Almanac came from Maine, and that is the one that will no longer be in circulation. So for all the folks who are like, oh, the Farmer's Almanac's gone, so they could compare your weather forecast, it's the old one that will remain.
The old one, which is it any more accurate than the new one?
I don't know anybody's accuracy, but I do think that it's just an interesting dichotomy that there really were two, and the majority of us had no idea. So if you were looking for the Farmer's Almanac, you'll still be able to find that old Farmer's Almanac yellow one at the checkout because I see them at the grocery store. You never know, Dean. Maybe somebody's going to be marking that as to your weather forecast to see the accuracy of it.
Maybe. We'll compare it the Farmer's Almanac to the LRC and see which one wins out.
Coming up very soon. Now, speaking of that weather, Argentina, they are one of our top exporters around the world for soybeans. They've already begun planting fields for soybeans in the last recent days. And actually, they're going into pretty optimal surface moisture right now. They are the world's largest exporter of soybean oil and meal. And we know that they have probably already planted about 4.4% of their 17 million hectares. So it's interesting to watch as we have struggled to finish harvest in some places. Those guys are off and running to start planting the next crop. We'll see what that looks like before too terribly long.
All right.
Yeah, crop is on its way.
Already?
Yeah.
My.
Yes. When we think of Land O'Lakes, and because Addison has spent part of his young life in Minnesota, when I say Land O'Lakes is a product,
butter.
What comes to mind?
Butter.
Yeah,
butter.
Butter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's also a well-known footwear company called Clove. I had no idea they exist. But Clove and Land O'Lakes are putting together a limited edition line of butter yellow sneakers. And they're going to be doing some philanthropy. Butter shoes. These shoes are like butter. So what they're doing is Land O'Lakes is donating over 3,700 pounds of butter to Phil Abundance. They're a food bank in Philadelphia. And then Clove is donating 88 pairs of sneakers for those who need them to the same organization. So there you go. You can buy you can find butter shoes, but some will be donated.
Interesting. Yellow? Will they be yellow?
Butter yellow.
Butter yellow?
Butter yellow shoes.
Addison?
I've never seen a Clove
shoe or
Addison
would look, I think he would sport those pretty well.
Do you think they're slippery like butter? Do you think that's what like the soles are made out of?
So you could slide across the room?
Yeah, they're like Heelys, but more delicious.
Hey, see?
I might be onto something.
You've got a marketing idea here, bud. I'm telling you.
I'll send off an email.
Okay.
Oh, good Lord. Hey, one more weather topic for you, Dean. Was reading some reports this morning. They're talking about this cold weather coming down from Canada, taking over most of the western U.S., but that it was almost to be amplified because of drier conditions, that cold is more cold, if you will, or drops more degrees because we're drier than we are because we don't have any humidity from moist soil surfaces.
That's true. Yeah. You get a drier air mass that cools off a lot quicker and can be more intense as well. And just to give you an example of just how cold this is, and again, this will repeat itself in the LRC cycle later this winter, which will be even more harsh than what it is right now. But in Chicago, along Lake Michigan, they had one heck of a snow event in parts of Chicago into northwest Indiana. And they were doing a temperature profile. The temperature of the lake is still 50 degrees, which is quite warm. And the temperature at about 10,000 to 15,000 feet was a good 80 degrees colder. So when you get that big of a temperature difference going aloft, you get a lot of rising air. You get thunder snow that develops with that. So just a weird weather phenomena setting up in the Great Lakes. I mean, you always get lake effect snow in the winter, but just the temperature profile set up with this as it's rarely occurred before. So it's kind of a strange event. And this knife's all the way down where they have, and I'm not kidding, falling iguana alerts in northern Florida, where they are going to see record-breaking cold temperatures down there. So little early in the season for an intense cold like this. But thankfully for us, like I said earlier, it's short-lived. We're approaching 60 by the end of the week. That's, boy, and on a side note, we did get a date. We are going to have our LRC Winter Outlook December 5th. December 5th, mark your calendar. Right after Weather and Ag in Focus on the Jay Thomas Show, we'll be having our Winter Outlook using the LRC. And kind of give you a little hint on the preview. I've had a lot of people say, well, this has got to be a warm winter. Look how warm it's been during the fall. I mean, it's the whole month of October basically was above normal. And we will see our periods of warm weather during this upcoming winter. So we're not going to be locked into anything that's long-term in terms of cold. We'll see plenty of breaks for some milder weather this upcoming winter. The question we're tackling right now with the LRC is, what about precip? Are we going to see ample amounts of precip as we head into the upcoming winter? And that's what we're still going over right now. Again, the LRC cycle has not been set yet. We're seeing signs that may occur over the next 10 days. So stay tuned. Once we get that LRC cycle set, then we can map out what's going to happen here over the rest of the upcoming winter, spring, and into summer. And again, December 5th, we'll have our winter weather outlook, and we'll take a look into spring as well on the Jay Thomas Show.
Well, one of our listeners, Naomi, she said she's feeling a little jealous. She wasn't in Chicago this weekend for lake effect snow. So hopefully you get lots of cool pictures of that from those who were there, Naomi. That'll help you feel better about it.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
We'll be joined by our guest, Grant Wiese, very shortly. He is with Farm 640. We're going to talk about that and exactly what it is. Well, it has to do with your financial health as well as how that can impact your physical health. But your financial health will be our discussion first when we return. All right, let's talk a little bit about your health of your farm. But first, if you're going to have a healthy financial picture, you want to make sure that you've got very healthy tech support. And by that, you don't want anybody swiping stuff off your email, etc. So make sure that you have the fence check assessment done on Tech Support Farm's website, techsupportfarm.com. Will make sure that you are safe, secure, using the right emails, and no one is out there waiting for your information, whether it's from insurance companies or from other agribusinesses, your bank, etc. So check it out, checksupportfarm.com. We're joined today by Grant Wiese. He is with Farm 640 out of Nebraska. Grant, did you get snow?
Not yet, Bridget. We have not gotten snow yet. I'm a little bit disappointed by this, but it will come. We will get some, that's for sure.
There is no doubt you will. So tell us just a little bit about who you are and what's Farm 640. I mean, you and I have talked several times. I have a whole list of questions, but let's have you describe it first.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Grant Wiese, and I live in south central Nebraska. Grew up on a farm down in Nebraska, and we were row crop and livestock operation. And I've been in lending now for about 14 years, doing egg lending here in the state of Nebraska. And that's given me a lot of experience to see what works well with operations and maybe some areas where individuals are struggling right now and when we're in a little bit of a tighter down cycle. And in using the resources that I have in growing up on a farm, I still farm part time today, but also being a full time lender, I've been able to utilize that knowledge to share that with my lending customers. And I created Farm 640 to get that information out to more than just the people that I work with on a lending basis. So I have about 5,000 people who get my weekly newsletter on farm640.com, helping them to bridge the gap between farming and finance and hopefully helping them make the best financial decisions possible for their operation.
5,000 people reading your newsletter. That's grown pretty quickly. And so has there been a trend, certain cropping systems or states, et cetera, that you really see folks very much picking up on that intel from you?
Well, I definitely have the most experience in row crop operations in the Midwest. So typically it's a corn soybean type of operation, but I've actually had people reach out to me from Oklahoma, Texas, maybe down south. I have people who have bought farm ground from out in New York, let's say, and they've found my information to be useful and apply to them. So while types of farming operations, every single one differs, the basics and the financial ratios that you're looking at, they apply to pretty much all farming operations. So it travels well, I guess you could say.
Well, in that regard, can you give us an example of something that's recently been in your newsletter so people can go, oh, now that makes sense. I understand why people want to subscribe.
Yeah, well, my focus right now has been helping individuals with their cash flow. So a lot of producers that I work with, they put their cash flow projection for the 2025 crop year together back in January of last year, and they were showing negative margins. And that's not ideal to go into a crop year planning for a loss or seeing that your most likely outcome is a loss for the upcoming year. So my area of focus this fall has been helping producers to manage expenses, be aware of marketing options that are out there, and an awareness around what their financing options are to hopefully help improve their margins a little bit and make strong financial decisions here this winter so they can go into next year making a profit this year and hopefully turning that into a profit for next year as well.
And Grant, are you seeing are there any particular struggles when it comes to lending recently at all?
Struggles with lending. So something that's really unique right now, Dean, is we came out of this situation in 2019, 2020, 2021, where we had record low interest rates. And that was great because everyone could finance their debt into really favorable terms. Well, right now we're not in as low of interest rates. They're not extraordinarily high, but they're not as advantageous for the producer. So if someone gets backed into a corner right now and they have, let's say, equity available in land, to where they could take out a loan, the interest rates just aren't real great and the margins are so bad that it doesn't make sense to refinance any debt on the books right now. So one struggle we have with finance is refinancing isn't a very good option for anyone if they're in a tight spot.
That's a really good point about being in a tight spot, because you and I had the opportunity to talk on Friday, Grant, and we had a whole host of questions with folks asking them during our time together on Twitter. So one of the questions I'd like to go back to was, you've lost, as a farm, you've lost money 2 to 3 years in a row. You feel like your liquidity is decreasing. And as a banker, are you nervous about that yet? What are kind of those trigger points where you start saying, all right, we've got to take a much better look at your finances. We need to start making some changes.
Yeah, that's a good question, Bridget, and we did cover that a little bit last week. The big trigger point or big measure that we sometimes see within operations and we're seeing now is when we see that liquidity become negative. So that means that your current assets on your balance sheet minus your current liabilities, which is debt due this upcoming year, is at a negative position. You don't have enough cash readily available to make this year's payments. And that's obviously a big concern because we're heading in the wrong direction and it can it backs you into a corner. I mean, cash is king. It gives you flexibility on your operation to manage your farm how you want to manage it, and keeps you in control. And I guess that's probably the first big trigger that we're looking at, and trying to help operations stay in a position where they do have liquidity, they do have positive working capital, and they can continue to manage the farm how they best see fit.
Those are good points, and we're going to have a lot more of them. We're going to touch on the bottom of the hour news, but when we return, we want to continue our discussion with Grant Wiese. He is with Farm 640. Got a whole list of questions for him, and if you do, you can reach us on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. We'll be right back. Thanks for being with us. And throughout this season, we had an opportunity to custom farm 20 acres of wheat. Last week, we presented a check to our charity partner, Farm Rescue, for $1,000 along the journey of growing wheat, showing videos of how that production process works. We were joined by sponsors like ND Estate Services. Mark Wagner gives great advice, especially if you're worried about the future of your operation, taxes, probate. What happens when you're gone and you don't want to lose assets out of the farm? Mark would be a great conversation. That's ndestateservices.com. And Thor Buildings. Thor Buildings was a sponsor throughout that season. If you have not seen the video that we did of a farm shop under construction out at Uland, please take the time to go look at that. It is on our Weather and Ag in Focus Facebook and YouTube pages. And I'm kind of hoping they invite me back for the grand opening, if you will, to see what it looks like after the fact. We're joined by our guest today, Grant Wiese. Grant is with Farm 640 out of Nebraska. And Grant, you said you didn't get a chance to see it last night, but for those listening, I wanted to highlight that 60 Minutes, which I rarely watch like a news magazine, but I had gotten wind of this segment coming, and 60 Minutes featured a 15-minute segment on the current farming situation. They were looking at cotton and soybean farmers out of Missouri and Kentucky, and they basically said, things are tight. They haven't improved yet. Our input costs are stranglehold at this point. I would venture a guess you're seeing the same trend with a number of farmers in your region as well. But what about land? Has land become that overpowering problem affecting balance sheets, or is it still our best asset out there?
Yes, Bridget, we definitely are seeing that with our soybean producers where input prices are very high and it makes it tough to grow the crop for profit. As far as land is concerned, I wouldn't say that it is becoming a hindrance to producers. If you have land on your balance sheet or land that's paid off, that definitely helps you. But maybe were you implying it's difficult to acquire land right now? Because I know that's probably the biggest hindrance or the biggest problem that farmers have right now is it's still just extremely expensive and hard to get into.
That's where I'm at. People, we still look at land and say it's expensive, right? I think our land purchasing costs have plateaued, meaning I think, or I should say, our land value is probably plateaued and steady right now. But no matter what one says, when was the best time to buy land? Well, probably 10 years ago, and it's still hard to overcome. Can we pencil it out? Should we really just hold tight? Should we be decreasing our land size?
Yeah, well, I have a few thoughts on land. The first thing is I'm still a big proponent of owning farm ground because when it is on your balance sheet, when you do own it and when it's paid off, we do see that appreciation take place, and that gives farmers really good equity. And frankly, for most farming operations, owning land is their retirement plan because they don't have an IRA or a 401k, and they're able to rent out that farm ground once they decide to retire. But as of right now, yes, it's really hard to buy farm ground and pencil it out. And we talked about this a little bit on Friday, and I hear it all the time from producers that I'm talking to. Is one of my favorite questions to ask a farmer is, when did you buy your first piece of ground? Which farm was it that was your first purchase?
Yeah.
And they'll drive me past that farm and they'll say, well, this quarter I bought this 45 years ago for $800 an acre. And I wish I would have bought so much more, but man, that was expensive at that time. And I didn't have a dime to my name, and I don't know how I made it work. So I think that land has always been really expensive, really hard to get into. And as we all know, they're not making any more of it. So I believe that there's a value in it. And if you can find a way to get into land ownership, farm ground in particular, I'm a big advocate of that. To go one step further and help some of the listeners out here, young farmers, young producers, it's really hard for them to compete to buy this ground, but I think there's a couple different avenues that those young producers can take. And in particular, it's harnessing that energy and excitement that comes from being a young producer, right? I think that they need to work to target properties that maybe don't come up on public auction, try to approach people directly about buying ground and finding properties that need a lot of sweat equity. So maybe it's a property that is really run down, or some of the bigger producers or older producers just aren't going to have an interest in putting the work in. I do believe that there are deals still out there if you're willing to put the work in to find the deal. for the right price, finance it correctly according to your operational goals, and then also put that work in. Put that work in to buy it at a good price and make it worth your time in the future.
Well, like homes, sweat equity still counts quite a lot, doesn't it?
It sure does, yes.
And Grant, over the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years, are you seeing more farms being sold, or is the ag community trying to retain what they have?
Oh, I would say the ag community is doing a good job of trying to retain what they have. I do know that outside investors have been involved in agriculture, which, while it's hard to compete against them, we should
Mhm.
also be grateful at times that we have outside investors who have the money to continue to invest in the ground locally to keep prices propped up and to rent back to producers. Some outside investors do go ahead and find some of those young producers that they can buy 1,500 acres and rent it back to a young farmer to help them make a living out there. So I don't see outside investors as always being a bad thing. You never want to be outbid by an outside investor personally, but their interest helps protect farm ground, farm prices, and helps to pass the generation on to the next generation if they can get in touch and involved with someone that's a young producer just trying to come back and make a living off the ground.
Just a couple years ago, we had a concern that lenders, particularly in Europe, were making noise that your carbon intensity score was now going to factor in to your ability to get lending for your operating notes, etc. Have you seen any more discussion about that in the U.S., Grant, or has that quieted down right now with change in government administration and so forth?
That's a good question, Bridgette. I haven't seen the carbon scores impacting lending and lending standards and your ability to get approved for a loan a lot here initially. What I have seen more often than not is lenders would just have an interest in if you're receiving any payments for your carbon scores. So have you signed up for any programs that will pay you to improve your cash flow? At the end of the day, I guess I've been focused more initially here on what do your financials look like as opposed to any outside programs. And the noise around carbon programs, they did quiet down there for a little bit because we didn't have any legislation in place to really help secure those and make them concrete moving forward. With recent bills that have been passed, I would expect that we'd start to hear more of the carbon program and see a lot more out there as far as farmers' options to sign up and receive payments. We were in limbo there for a little bit, but we should have some traction moving forward. And I hope that can be a positive for the farm producers and their cash flow and the industry as a whole.
I hope so too. And, some of the things that you talk about really help people sharpen their pencil, do a better job, making sure they understand their margins, their ROIs, everything that goes along with it, because most farms have a side hustle, if you will. There's some trucking that's involved, there's some custom work, whatever that might be. And so, Grant, with that, if you are in a situation where you're improving your financial stats, you understand your financial health, but you're ready to look for a different lender, do you have some suggestions for folks as to maybe how they start that process? I think that's a big topic of conversation. People want not only shop for their inputs, but they're considering changes with their lenders as well this time of year.
Bridgette, you nailed it. I definitely encourage producers if they can't make the next crop year work, if they can't earn a profit, to start to talk to different input providers to see if there's some cheaper options out there, whether it's buying your seed, your chemical, and fertilizer are three of the biggest expenses that are out there. And you can do the exact same thing for from a lender's point. If you are not getting along with your lender, don't feel like you're getting the proper coaching, or they don't understand your operation very well and what you're trying to do, there's nothing to stop you from going and talking to other banks and other lenders and try to find someone that understands agriculture really well and can give you the proper coaching that you need to help your operation thrive financially.
Last big question. You keep a very close eye on everyone's financial health. What are you seeing as far as their physical and mental health these days? Part of that 60-minute interview last night, that segment talked about how difficult these financial strain can impact a farmer and their physical and their mental health. How are your folks doing in Nebraska?
Yeah, Bridget, that's an excellent question. I'm glad you brought that up. I was just back in my hometown area here a couple weeks ago, and we had unfortunately, we had a public or a mental health issue there locally that really devastates the community. Obviously, when that happens, and I just encourage producers to remember that. There are always options out there from a financial standpoint if that's really the struggle, and a lot of times it seems like it is when we're in a financial down cycle and there's more mental issues taking place in rural America at that time. There are a lot of options and a lot of resources out there for producers to explore additional financing or to get out of their tough situation. So finding a lender that can work with you through those situations and not just write you new loans, but actually give you coaching on maybe steps that we can take financially to help improve your financial position. Obviously, if we're not experiencing stress on the financial side, that helps us mentally and emotionally as well. So, we don't need to internalize those things. Hopefully, your banker and your lender can be your partner and help you through and out of those situations, and just put you in a better spot so that you're in a better spot mentally as you go through these tough times.
Absolutely. And having that good relationship with your lender matters. If you don't have one, that's someone who needs to be a valuable asset to your team and certainly on your side. So, Grant, where can folks reach out to you for more information and to sign up for your newsletter?
Yeah, you can find me at farm640.com. So that's farm640, that's the number 640.com would be my website. And once you get there, you can sign up for my weekly newsletter. That's free, goes out every Tuesday morning. There'll be another one going out tomorrow. So I'm just looking to provide content that helps farmers out financially.
Looking
Great.
forward to my copy of it too. Thanks, Grant.
And Grant,
Thank you so much.
before we let you go St. Cecilia, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Thanks.
You got
Good
it.
eye.
I worked in Nebraska for many years, so I know exactly where you're at. Well, we want to.
You found me.
Yep, you got it. You got it. Well, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll have a recap of what the rest of the week looks like in weather, and Bridgette will hit on a couple of ag topics coming up here shortly. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Temperatures outside right around the 30-degree mark across the area and cloudy skies, although we're going to start seeing a few breaks in the clouds as we head towards sunset. But other than that, kind of a chilly day today. But as we were talking about earlier, Bridgette, we're looking at temperatures moderating throughout the week. In fact, by Friday, we're going to be flirting with 60 degrees. Not quite record warmth, but it won't be far off. It's hard to say 60 in the middle of November. Man.
Oh, it's not unheard of, though.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. So, we're going to see another uptick in people saying, should I go out and spread fertilizer? Did it dry out enough where I can go soil sample? And to those who are saying, but can I still put glyphosate in my fall burn down? No, stop that. Calm down about that thing. But I will ask, will that continue through the weekend? Because with Harvest Bowl at NDSU, you've got the great big ag and athletics banquet on Tuesday night. You've got a game and tailgating on Saturday. People are going to be curious about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, the game Saturday, tailgating looks okay. We're going to have a cold front. You know what? We'll call it a cool front. We'll call it a cool front coming through the area. So we'll cool from about 60 on Friday to, it looks like the upper 40s or so, which is still well above normal on Saturday. As that cool front swings through, we will see a slight chance of an isolated light shower and then winds picking up a little bit out of the north. But, I mean, you're looking at temperatures in the 40s for game day. That's not too bad for tailgating. We can handle that.
I think that a lot of folks are going to feel okay about that overall. Just to help make that decision of, do I need my coveralls or not?
Mm-hmm.
So far, I should be okay.
Yeah. It's
It gets everybody in our group knows when it's really winter, because that's when I show up in my bibs.
okay. It won't be that cold, and like I said,
Okay.
I don't see any the cold that we've had this weekend. I don't see that returning. It will return as we head into Sunday and Monday of next week. We'll get a brief shot of some colder air, but it looks real brief. So other than that, again,
Okay.
I still don't see any long-lasting real cold snaps. And like I said, we continue with this kind of up and down roller coaster trend, which that's going to continue through the winter. So we could use a little more moisture, which we had, and again, like I said, the moisture that we had that first half of October, that will cycle back around, and we will see that again. So I don't think we're going to be starved for moisture as we head into the winter and spring. There will be some areas, especially the eastern third of the state, maybe into Lakes country, that might end up being a little bit close to average to a little bit below average. But I think the rest of us should be A-okay as we head into the upcoming winter and spring. And once again, if you didn't catch it earlier, December 5th, we will have our LRC winter and spring outlook. So you'll want to get all your questions ready for that. Somebody asked, why are you having it later this year? Well, because it looks like we were going to have it right before Thanksgiving coming up here in about 10 days, but not 100% sure the cycle will be set by then. So we decided that let's push this off for another week or so. By that time, the cycle will be set, and then we can have a little more accurate timing of when these storms are going to come through for the upcoming winter and spring. So that's the reason why, if anybody's curious.
Well, okay. So when you said that about, we could use a little bit more moisture. Nope, stop. Everybody's got enough right now.
Well-
We're tired of getting stuff stuck.
Okay.
Although that's really good for Oaks Truck and Trailer down south. The rest of us would like to stop that. Now, I will say, if we're going to talk about moisture, we'll catch up in the spring. We generally do. But the Mississippi River Valley is the group that's asking for more moisture. They are concerned about being able to move barge traffic for soybeans and corn downriver and then bring fertilizer back up, because we do have a backhaul to Minneapolis, and then we start moving it out by truck and rail. So that's an area that is saying, hey, we're glad harvest is done. We would like to see some rain now just to bring that river level up.
And
Good for them.
Yeah, and unfortunately for those areas, nothing coming in the short term. But like I said, I do see pattern change coming up here after mid-month. So I think that's when we'll start to see a little more active weather, not only for the northern plains and central plains, but also into that Mississippi River Basin area as well. So that's good news for them.
They would be very happy to start seeing some of that change over down there. Um, Earlier when we were talking with our guest, Grant Wiese, and Grant made mention of, keeping track of our financial health, but then also our mental health. And that's a great reminder that NDSU is opening up webinars on QPR, Question, Persuade, Refer. Those are suicide prevention webinars. The first one will be held November 20th from 1 to 2:30. These are only 90-minute sessions. There'll be one in January and one in February. If you are part of a large farm operation, you could easily be taking in this webinar for benefit around your operation. Maybe you're on a volunteer fire department or local ambulance squad. This can also be of great additional training for you to have as part of your emergency services in your area. So again, that's the QPR training put on by NDSU. It's the Question, Persuade, Refer Suicide Prevention webinar. So if you're curious about how to find out more information, how to register, you can send me an email, ag@flagfamily.com, and I will happily share that with you. And again, our inbox is powered by Superior Grain Equipment. And then also, big thank you to Cass County Farm Bureau. They support living ag in the classroom here in this region. They do that out at the fairgrounds. They're a big proponent of ag education, and they also sponsor our weather and ag assistant ag director. And we'll have another ag director coming up right before Thanksgiving. I've got students booked for that. We'll have them in December, got a couple into the new year. If you or someone you know is interested in being an assistant ag director for us, just drop me that message. Again, ag@flagfamily.com, and I'll send you the application.
Well, that'll do it today for Weather and Ag in Focus. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't go anywhere, though. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.